information out there. At this time, I'd like to identify Mr. Ed Gonzalez.
Well, again, my name is Ed Gonzalez. I'm the project director for Sabal Trail. As indicated, we're here to present the project, talk in more detail related to the routing of the facility, the compressor station site, alternatives that we've looked at, alternatives that we're currently looking at today, and to listen to the further concerns in the community and see what we can do to help facilitate and work through those as best we can. So with that, high level, I think a lot of folks have seen this map before. The proposed Sabal Trail natural gas pipeline is a 36-inch diameter primarily, with about 20 miles that are 24-inch on a segment down in Florida. But we have about 86 miles in Alabama, approximately 159 in Georgia, and then approximately 254 miles in Florida. So we're looking at filing our application with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, fourth quarter of this year. We'll talk more about that in a variety of our comments. The draft environmental impact statement, second Q, the final impact statement, third quarter of 15. Anticipate that FERC would make a decision fourth quarter of 15 on the basis of the approval. We've indicated that we would anticipate a notice to proceed first quarter of 16. Under that basis, we would start construction second quarter of 16 and complete the phase 1 facilities May of 2017, placing them in service. What you see on the alignment is the red is the proposed pipeline alignment. That's what Marty's currently reflecting on there. Specifically on that alignment, we have approximately 95 landowners that are impacted on the proposed pipeline alignment. To date, we have about 85% survey commission on those properties. So our pipeline alignment, we parallel the Lee and Terrell County lines as we come into Dougherty County. Then we head south on Gillianville Road. And then we head west towards the intersection of Oak Ridge and Lockhart Road. Then from there, we have our continuing down our station site that's over on Newton Road. And then we work in an easterly direction. We cross the Flint River. And then ultimately we cross Highway 300 near the drag strip. And then we continue to follow the Sonat pipeline. So again, what we try to do is represent where our compressor station is at, and Marty, if you could point to that. That's the parcel of property that we've recently purchased. To the east of that, we have the water treatment facility. The fire department is also in that area. As was mentioned earlier, the airport is just north of us, a couple miles. We're looking at things. From an oversight and permitting perspective, FERC is the lead agency for this interstate natural gas pipeline facility. FERC will take the lead based upon the National Environmental Policy Act, and we heard that earlier, the NEPA. The Flint River, there's definitely been a lot of questions concerning that, and we understand. The Flint River, where we cross it, we're going to do what's called a horizontal directional drill, or the acronym HDD. And it's very similar to maybe a process of drilling a water well, but instead of drilling straight down, you drill at an angle, and you drill underneath the water body. Right now, we're looking at about a 4,900-foot directional drill going underneath the Flint River. We would anticipate that we'll be about 50 feet below the bottom of the river. We're still working on finalizing the design. And the way the one thing is to kind of point out the facilities that you see here. And the compressor station building, that's the site of it. That compressor station building is approximately 100 feet by 120 feet. That would allow the two proposed facilities to be installed in there. The height of that building would be approximately at the peak, 49 feet. The next is noise. There's been a variety of questions related to noise of the compressor station. Part of the criteria that FERC would hold us to is the compressor station is required not to exceed a day-night sound level of 55 decibels. at the nearest designated noise receptor. We have a firm that has completed the noise survey at the proposed site. We've had some preliminary discussions with them. They're still working on the draft report for what would reflect the current existing noise levels at the compressor station site and what the projected noise levels would be at those nearest noise receptors. The most closest would end up being the fire department. The second closest would then be a residential home, approximately 1,500 feet, as I recall, to the southwest of the proposed compressor station site. The point for the chart is really to just kind of point out the different sound levels from a decibel standpoint. So a typical office, would have about 55 decibels. Below that would be a window air conditioner type. So this is something that maybe just gives some point of reference to noises and the decibels of what that is from a noise perspective. So what I'll do is pause there. What I'm going to do is turn it over to Reagan Macy that'll talk about emissions, and then I'll cover 2 more slides.
It's a very passionate room today, I can tell, of intensity here. In line with the chairman's directive here to address the major concerns, I recognize that air quality has been brought up by many individuals. My role as a PH&S manager is air quality, and I'm involved not only in project permitting, but my primary role is in operational compliance with our air permits. So that's really the ongoing operations of our facility. That's what I focus on. Now I'd like to direct your attention to the slide. What we're viewing here in blue is the emissions inventory for Dougherty County. This emissions inventory came from a 2011 study that was submitted by the state of Georgia to the EPA, and it's available in the National Inventory Database, National Emission Inventory Database. Georgia performs this inventory every 3 years, so this is the most current of that. What you'll see is that in the tiny sliver of red, an incremental amount that will be related to our project if we were to layer into that existing emissions inventory. What it boils down to is that we will have roughly a 0.4% increase or contribution to the existing airshed of Dougherty County. This is the kind of a depiction of where the inventory in the previous slide comes from. You'll notice a lot of pink dots. Those pink dots are emission sources permitted in the state of, through the state of Georgia as minor sources. Albany Compressor Station is called out there. We anticipate a minor source permit, so we will be one of many in the county. The yellow are major sources of emissions. Those have significantly more emissions than our site. A minor source in Dougherty County would be similar to a hospital, a small production facility, a Mars, or the like. A larger Title V source, major source, would be power plants, the military base, and other large sources. So kind of that's the air permitting in a nutshell, and I'll pass it back over to Ed.
Another big thing that we've heard is PCBs. And the fact that the company got fined several $1 million related to the use of PCBs. PCBs is a fire retardant lubricant. It was used in the industry back in the 50s and 60s. It was used by a variety of interstate pipeline companies, we being one of those. As EPA went through and continued in the diligent process and other agencies that they do, they found that it was harmful. So we identified a variety of locations related to that, and there were settlements that we worked through related to that use of PCBs. But we as an industry all use that, and other of our peer companies had to deal with the same type of compensation that were made associated with that. We don't use those fire retardant type lubricants anymore. We've changed that. That changed back in the 60s. This pipeline will not be exposed to any other pipelines that have PCBs. So we will not have PCBs being an issue that might get trapped within the stream of the natural gas or the pipeline liquids on this project.
Wasn't that found in 1989 for the PCB use for?
So we have questions and answers at this time, please.
The other thing is radon gas. We've heard some questions, related to that. And radon is a naturally occurring gas which is generated from minerals in the earth. There's radon in the atmosphere, there's radon in our homes and so forth. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and the Department of Energy have both concluded that radon in natural gas does not pose a public health or safety risk. And that's documented by those various entities. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Again, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. And as Reagan said, we understand the passion in the room, some of the questions and the concerns, and we'll do our best to be able to address things today. There may be things that we'll have to take as a takeaway, and then we can follow up. And thank you for your time.
Construction of the Sabal Trail natural gas pipeline continues to cause concern.
GTN's Brianna Harper sat down with one Suwannee County resident whose property is in the direct pathway of the gas pipeline.
Georgie Anderson takes a moment looking at old pictures of the place she calls home. Her property holds a lot of fond memories, but with the new gas pipeline coming her way, the loss of these memories and property value is concerning.
I was really upset because I knew if a pipeline comes through here, my place is going to appreciate the price of it. And I've worked hard for it.
She says surveyors have already come out to visit her land, putting stakes nearly 600 feet away from her home, an estimated path for where the pipeline will stand. For 44 years, Ms. Anderson has lived on this property in hopes to keep it as is, but the natural gas pipeline could change all that.
It upset me to know that they could come through and do as they please on my land without my permission. I don't think it's right.
And for property owners like Ms. Anderson, it's important that they're aware of all their rights.
You're living with a legal document that will create an easement across your property for generations to come. The money is important, but also the terms of the easement. Who can come on your property? What can they build on your property? There are a lot of things that people need to be concerned about.
As for now, Ms. Anderson looks at her past while anticipating for the future. Brianna Harper, GTN News.
The Sabal Trail will also impact people living in Alachua, Levy, and Gilchrist County.